Well, for 40 years, my guest was the voice of the daily recorded Sunrise Surf Shop surf reports. But he's also a familiar face around town, having been a local runner, a columnist, a cyclist, and a lifelong resident of the beach house he grew up in. Here to tell
Almost lifelong. I moved there when I was 5.
and you did leave for a year or so, I guess,
Yeah.
went to California. But anyway, here he is to tell us about his ongoing quest to educate folks at the beach. Is Bill Longnecker. Bill, thanks for being here.
You're welcome. I'm very honored to have a chance to be here and spread this information out, because so many people walk on the beach and don't realize what they're looking at.
Yeah, well, you are doing this and you're spreading out a lot of good information and actual materials here too. But for folks who may not know who you are, I do want to kind of talk a little bit about your history. So you were a longtime columnist for the Shorelines section of the Times-Union back when we had community.
30 years back when we had the newspapers.
Community
30 years
newspapers.
for that, and 10 years for that before I was on Beach Leader.
The Beaches Leader, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
And you're best known kind of for your surf association. So how did you get involved doing the daily surf report for the surf shop?
Back in 1984, Bill Hickson, which was one of the original big surf shops at the beach, said, I need somebody to do the surf report because I'm tired of doing it. You get up every morning and check the surf. You don't want to get paid to do it. And I said, sure. And we had just a simple answering machine with a tape on it. A tape answering machine. And we burned out 4 or 5 of those. Because I started doing the report at 6:30 in the morning. I figured people would like to know before they go to work or go to school what's going on. And I had it right there at the house. And I just get up in the morning, check the surf, and do the surf report.
Pretty early, right?
Yep.
So what time would you get up and roll out and kind of?
Oh, I'm up by 5:30 or 6 almost every day anyway.
Uh-huh.
And that's how I got started with that. But Bill, of course, the shop wasn't doing very well toward the end of the 80s, and it was all right with him. I went with a 976 number at the same time. I had one in my bedroom and one in my kitchen, and I started making a little bit of money from it, charging 50 cents a phone call, not per minute, but per call. And I had 3 answering machines, so they never got busy signals. That was the problem with Hickson's. 1 line, 1 answering machine. And we kind of
you'd sometimes have to tell people to hang up so other people could call in, right? You'd say, the surf's great today.
I did that. Boy, you've really researched this. Yes, during that one hurricane that hit Charleston and went all the way to Charlotte. I think Hugo. I put the 15-second tape on and said, the surf's 8 to 10 feet, hang up so somebody else can call. And the machine just went all day. I could hear it running, that was before I started mine. And then I started mine on November 13th, 1989, and it began to churn in some cash. And about then, Hickson's was starting to fade. Bill had sort of lost interest in the business, and he wasn't managing it day to day, and he finally decided he had to close. And I went on, and I kept that going until cell phones and the cameras on the beach began to put me out of business.
Yeah.
When they had cell phones, they couldn't bill on AT&T, Bell South, so I couldn't get paid unless they were calling from a landline with Bell South. So he closed off, and I closed that off, and I've known Dan for years, and I went down to the surf shop and asked Dan if he was interested. He took me on right away until 2 years ago when we decided it was about time to close out.
But you would get hundreds of callers a day and really were very well known, not just for doing the report, but the fact that you were out in it every single day. You would go out there with a thermometer.
Yep.
You pretty much got in the water every single day anyway, didn't you?
Almost. Well, I swim almost every day of the week, year round. And, that's how I knew what the conditions were. I live only a block from the water. I couldn't afford to buy the house I'm in now. I inherited it. And I was always checking the surf anyway. So it was nice getting paid for it. Bill Hickson paid me $50 a month. And I was doing better than that, a lot better than that with Dan. But it just got to the point where we weren't getting the volume of calls to justify paying for it.
Yeah. And so it would be conditions, weather, and then if the surf was particularly good, you would kind of tell people.
Surf alert, fun surf alert, full surf alert, hang up and go surfing kind of thing. which we didn't get very often, unfortunately. But this past weekend when they had that surf contest, it was pitiful. Great contest, really tiny surf.
Yeah, it is not necessarily reliably. So you're, in addition to surfing, you're known as a bit of an endurance athlete generally. I mean, you're a cyclist.
Yeah.
You were a runner for a long time. And when you talk about going out and swimming in the ocean, you're swimming for like an hour or so.
At least,
it's not just
an hour and a half.
taking
and
a
I
dip.
wear full wetsuits. I'm too old to be cold. I've got, thanks to Sunrise, I have a nice wetsuit collection, and I stay warm even in the winter.
Yeah,
So.
and part of your passion for the beach is sort of what's on the beach, what the beach itself is made of. And so in recent years, well, you're not doing the surf report, but you have been doing these educational efforts with kids and science classes around, particularly at the beaches.
Yeah. I got started in 1972 when I started in the gifted student program. I invited a friend of mine, Warner Webb, who was a pediatric surgeon. I'd known him informally, had gone camping with him, he and his partner, Albert Wilkinson. And I said, Warner, would you come in and operate on a fetal pig for my students? And they were 7th, 8th, and 9th grade students. And he said, sure. And he brought a bundle of instruments in. I sat the pig on the table. He says, this is bigger than some of my patients. And I went, huh? I couldn't, and he did it sort of an autopsy. He said, let me show you how we make an esophagus for a baby born without one. I didn't know that would happen. He said, we take a piece of small intestine, insert it through the diaphragm, and sew it up. We're talking about sewing something finer than the wire here, sewing it back up. And I got fascinated by medicine. And he turned me, and when I invited guests, I wanted to do something with the kids, not just talk. Because I can fake it a lot of stuff. I could fake it as an architect if I wanted to fake it. But I wanted him to do something for the kids to ask him questions so they didn't have to stand there and, So I asked the guests to come in and do things. And he and his partners came for the next 6 years with my new kids, turned me on to all kinds of people. But anyway, that's kind of what I want to do with my science programs. I want kids to see what is on the beach.
You're going to have to stay on the mic there. Sorry.
Titanium is a rock. The dark sand on the beach is titanium dioxide. And here it is. This is a rock of titanium, and this is from the mountains. Most people don't realize the mountains along the East Coast were over 10,000 feet tall. And during the last ice age, they got ground down and flushed out onto the beach. And the dark sand strands on the beach are titanium sands. And there are several. This is from a mining operation in Orange Park that's now closed. But these are the minerals that they would find in the sand.
And read those for people who can't watch our live stream.
Rutile, zircon, ilmenite, and leucoxene, and a radioactive one called monazite, a rare earth, all mined in Florida from our sands that were deposited thousands of years ago. And in fact, it was Bill Gulliford, the former mayor of Neptune, Atlantic Beach, who told me the names one time in a conversation pointing at the sand, but I didn't pay attention. I didn't realize he was pointing at titanium until I got interested in bicycles. Titanium was the unobtainium frame material.
Right.
He couldn't afford it. So this rock is from Gray's Mountains out in North Georgia. And it represents the rock ground down mine on our beach. And another thing,
I'm going to make you go to the one that you were showing me earlier this morning, the fulgurite?
Fulgurites, when lightning strikes the beach, it's about a 3,000-degree bolt of power, and it reforms the sand into fulgurites. These are fulgurites from beaches along the coast of Georgia. I get them from a friend in Spartanburg, South Carolina.
And for people who can't see, they basically form these fragile tubes. Is
very
that right?
fragile. The largest one ever found was about 12 feet long in Florida, but they crumble. And if I walk on the beach, you can't really tell the white sand from the fulgurite. You crush them. But every time we get lightning, I go looking. Hopefully I'll find some fulgurite someday.
And then one of the things, just briefly, that you teach the kids is about the titanium, because that's something that you can find in all kinds of things, from toothpaste to Skittles.
Yep. And people don't realize, I pass out a piece of candy to the kids as they come in, And then I said, now this is a science experiment. You do not have to eat it, but you may. And then I asked later, I said, now how many of you have eaten beach sand? And they all raised their hand because they think I'm kidding. I said, well, if you've eaten that piece of candy, you ate something with this rock, titanium dioxide.
Extraordinary.
And I'll go, ooh. And, I want them to learn, the other thing on the beach is calcium carbonate, limestone, coquina.
Oh, yeah.
And there are like 10 ways of looking at the
Bill,
sodium.
we're going to have to leave it there. Why don't you hold up the coquina? Bill Longnecker, thank you so much for being here. Thanks for the work that you're doing and for the students you're teaching.
You're welcome.